Torture, plain and simple. Chelsea Manning supporters demand her release from solitary confinement. Manning has now been held in isolation for 22 hours per day for the last 17 days since being held in contempt of court. Supporters of U.S. Army whistleblower Chelsea Manning are demanding she be released from solitary confinement, in which she has been held for 17 days since refusing to answer a grand jury's questions. Chelsea Resists Manning Supports Committee released a statement over the weekend denouncing her treatment and invoking the United Nations' own statements about the dangers and injustice of isolation in prisons. Here's what Fight for the Future said. This is outrageous. The UN considers anything more than 50 days in solitary confinement to be a form of torture. So this is a form of torture. This is totally a form of torture. And, that's okay, because Chelsea Manning's never been tortured before. Oh, wait, she was tortured for 6 years. She was tortured for 6 years. Barack Obama finally pardoned her, after torturing her for 6 years, but he did finally pardon her. Okay. And now she's back in jail, being held in solitary confinement again. And what did she do? Well, she expressed her rights. Manning arrived at a Truesdale detention center in Alexandria, Virginia on March 8th after appearing before a grand jury, which he says interrogated her about her 2010 decision to leak U.S. military documents to WikiLeaks, making public possible U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan and Iraq. No, making public, this word's not necessary. Making public U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan and Iraq. She exposed war crimes. That's what Chelsea Manning did. Chelsea Manning exposed war crimes. No need to tie any bow up on it. No, they were war crimes. She exposed that they weren't potential war crimes, they weren't possible, they were war crimes. Not trying to over nitpick, but they were war crimes. Manning said she already answered similar questions in 2010 when she was court-martialed before serving 7 years of a 35-year prison sentence, and answered the grand jury by saying, "I object to the question and refuse to answer on the grounds that question is in violation of my First, Fourth, and Sixth Amendment and other statutory rights." Well, they said she was in contempt of court and threw her in jail anyway. Justice for some. Certainly not justice for whistleblowers. When it comes to the treatment of whistleblowers, we are lockstep in tow with a fascist regime. Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, evidence of that. And now Chelsea Manning's back in jail. We have in the United States Adam Schiff, who is in a district near where I live, who is just an opportunist, failed actor, corporatist. He is part of an organization on press freedom. He demonizes Julian Assange every opportunity he gets. That should tell you everything you need to know about how whistleblowers are treated in the United States. You can be an elected official who's part of an organization dedicated to press freedom and still hate Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden. And nobody bats an eye at that. Nobody sees the blatant hypocrisy there and the danger there. They're torturing Julian Assange. He's been held without sunlight for heaven knows how long now. Well, people know the exact number. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's been a lot. Chelsea Manning's back in jail being held in solitary confinement, which is designated a form of torture, and it is. I'm sure she's being treated horribly. Press has not been reporting on this. I mean, it's like she appeared in court. They wanted to get her on something. So she said, hey, this is violating my rights. We've already been through this. She served her sentence and then some. She should have never been serving any type of sentence at all. And let's keep in mind, Barack Obama had the opportunity to treat Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden as political offenses, not criminal offenses. He chose not to. He didn't do that. Obama didn't do that. And Bush was just as bad on whistleblowers. Trump will be just as bad. They're all... We've not seen a president with a fair and honest response to whistleblowers in my lifetime, and we probably never will. And now she's being held in solitary confinement for doing nothing. for saying this violates my amendments. I don't have to answer this. She's in contempt of court. They threw her in jail. Solitary confinement. This should be all over the news. All over the news. That a whistleblower who exposed war crimes, who was still demonized and tortured for 6 years and then pardoned, is now being bullied again. That should have been all over the news right away, that she was even asked that in court. And every attorney in the country should have been offering their services to her. Should have been like, hey, you know what? This is ridiculous. I'll be at your service for free, Chelsea Manning. This is wrong. And the courts that did this should have been shamed. Instead, you heard virtually nothing about it, except for on shows like this. A comedian live streaming where people tweet him the articles they want to talk about. And she's in solitary confinement. Yep. This is why we barely break the top 50 when it comes to press freedom, by the way. This is why the United States is barely, one of many reasons, by the way. But this is one of many reasons why the United States barely breaks the top 50 countries when it comes to press freedom. And yes, we barely break the top 50. And you know, a lot of those other countries that have state-run media structures, more like just state-funded, first of all. Second of all, a lot of them rank higher than us. England ranks higher than us. Canada ranks higher than us. Norway has a government agency that oversees the freedom of the press. They have the best press freedom in the world. It's an agency that's funded by the government and different organizations that oversees freedom of the press and assures that one company can't control all the press. There's limitations on how much press one company can own. There's transparent laws in the ownership of these media outlets that all media outlets have to follow. And there's also laws protecting journalists. They have the best press freedom in the world. The United States, we barely break the top 50. Barely. This is one of many reasons why. So here's hoping that Chelsea Manning once again gets the justice that she deserves and is set free. We thought she had been set free, but nope. They found a way to get her back in jail. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your